Hello mates. So I'm going to continue where I left off, making the amazing UI or main menu UI. So let's get started. Let me load up Godot. Okay, Godot. So I'm going to make a couple of changes in the UI. Nothing like out of the ordinary or nothing too great. It's still going to be the tutorial I intended it to be, I hope. So first things, I'm going to change these button textures. I got some new ones that I really like, and these new ones have like a uniform size to them, so I'd like to use them. So I've loaded them up, and these are the ones I'm going to use. Let's see, tutorial. These are the blue ones. And I was just curious to try new colors to see how the glow effect would affect with new colors. Although I have pretty much a good idea of what is going to happen. So let's just go. It's going to work as intended. I cannot make promises, but it should. It should. So okay, first button. You can just skip this, or I might as well, might as well just fast forward a bit. So we got this. The sizes remain the same, kinda. I'm cool with the sizes. By the way, if you want these buttons, I'm going to put in the description where I took it. I took on h.io from someone. I can't remember, the username is a little big, if I may say so, but I'm going to put in the description, and I might show it somewhere in the video. So where I left off, we managed to setting up the behavior, the focus behavior. So when we click left, it goes to the left, switches the behavior from this play button to the settings button, and if you click right from the play button, it goes to this friends button or misc button, and if we go right again, it's going to go to itself because it's on the border, on the edge. And if we click left from the misc or friend button, it's going to go back to the center. So now what I want to do is to start with the glowing thingy, so let's go. Let's just make the buttons glow. So again, one thing I really would like you to put in your head and make it normal is reading the docs, because I had a pretty rough time finding a tutorial that will just work for me. There's tons of tutorial online regarding glow, but I couldn't make it work for this version of Godot, or for, I don't know why. Maybe it's the version, maybe it's me, I don't know, but it didn't work. So I'm using Godot 4.1, by the way, so it may not work for Godot 4.2 and on. And there's two ways, and I said this in part 1 of the video, there's two ways to manage your setting up glow. The first one is to enable HDR 2D, if I'm not mistaken, and that's on the documentation. And the other way is not setting up the HDR 2D and just doing like I'm going to show you. And the difference is HDR 2D it's CPU or GPU intensive, but it gives you more control. On the other side, not using HDR2D gives you less control, but is less intensive on the CPU or the GPU. Again, if you really want detailed explanations, go read the docs. I might be wrong of what I'm saying, but yeah, just read the docs. Okay, let's go. So in last video, we set up the background to canvas mode, and we said we're done with the background, and that's true. Now we enable glow. So what we need to do now is to set up a few things, and these few things are HDR threshold, and we need to set up the levels. So that's what really worked for me, setting up the threshold and the levels. So and it's going to be a bit tricky in the docs, if I'm not mistaken. In a lot of videos they say like play with the numbers until you see something, and it's true, and I've played quite a bit. Depending on your icons, I don't know what makes this work or not, but maybe it's the icon's color. Maybe if you get just white buttons, it's going to work better. And again, sorry for my dog, it's headed again. But okay, I don't know how to make him shut up. It's just guarding the house. So let's just go with it. Let's do something else. Just let me add a background real quick, instead of just having just this blank background. I want to add a background, maybe a texture, no, a color rect. If you want to add an image background, feel free to do so. I'm just adding a color rect, and I'm going to make it black. Okay, and let me just put it up here, and this is cool for me. Kind of makes that dark part of the icon buttons to disappear a bit. So let's go. World environment, again, we're in this. So when you're dealing with glow, what you might want to do is to go into replace mode. This is like the debug mode, to see if the changes that you are trying to apply is going to work or not, or is working or not. So for example, if I set up bloom, you can see, do you see this blue white? This is the glow working. This means that the glow is somehow working. So let's just put into 0 again. So I'm not going to explain all of these properties. If you want me to, I may make a video going through the docs and just showing it to you. I believe the documentation have a far better explanation on this than I'll ever be able to try to explain to you. I'm bad at explaining. I'm dumb. I've said this already in the first part of the video, so I'll try my best. So in order for us to see glow, we need to set up a few things, and these few things are as follow. Just set up the levels 3 to max, 4 to max, and 5 to max. And okay, 2, 3, and 4. 5, nah, Now 5, we can just leave that to 1, and we need to increase a bit the intensity, and I believe that's what they call it, playing with the numbers. And one thing we need to do is to decrease the threshold, because the threshold is like a limit saying that you see each of these sprite 2D have this visibility menu, and all of them have this modulate and self-modulate properties. And if you go in this and you're going to raw, you're going to see that the RGBA values are all at 1. So, and the default threshold is 1. This means that the threshold essentially, let me just say it how I got from the documentation. I'm really dumb. So if the threshold isn't 1, nothing's going to glow unless you try to increase the bloom. However, if you lower the threshold, you see what happened. Then because of the other settings that we managed to edit, levels, intensity, so, and the scale, not scale, so the glow started to be a little bit intense, but it's 0. So what you want to do is to set the threshold to something like 0.94 or 0.80, depending on how much glow you want from your buttons. Since the buttons in the raw values of the modulate or self-modulate properties, the values are above the current threshold, which is 0.8, and the modulate values are 1, then the glow effect are going to be is going to be applied to these nodes. To be honest, I wouldn't get the explanation I'm giving to you. That's how I encourage you to read the documentation. This is supposed to be a tutorial, but mate, I'm sucking at this. So the threshold is like a limiter. If the self-modulate or the modulate properties of these sprites is above the HDR threshold, then these nodes are going to glow, and you can manipulate the glow intensity, effects, and etc. But if the self-modulate property is below the HDR threshold, then these nodes are not going to glow, and that's how we're going to manipulate things with the script. So right now I'm going to put 0.95, no, 0.9, but 94, and I'm going to explain why I chose 94 so you can understand what I'm doing. No bloom, no bloom, no bloom. Essentially just light up all the screen, not just the nodes. So there's use cases for that, but it's not, I don't want it for now. I'm going to put the intensity into 3, and I'm going to adjust the levels once more. Feel free to pause the video and just follow me. Okay, you notice the difference? See? So in the documentation they have pictures showing what kind of effect, glow effect, that each level has. So if you want like a glow effect that doesn't spread too much, you just want like a bit of glow, a concentrated and precise glow around the button, then you're going to have like to turn the level 1, 2 and 3. You just need to go into the documentation and see the pictures of each levels. They have detailed explanations, and you're going to be like really good if you read the documentation or follow the pictures. So, but for these tutorial purposes, I'm just going to activate or do what worked for me, and you can just be creative later. As I said in part 1, this is not, you should not just copy what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show here. Don't copy my code and paste into every project you have. You need to learn what I'm doing and try to improve or find better ways. Get the essence and do and apply to what you're doing, more or less. So let's go. Since everything is set up, I'm fine with this level of glow and I see that it's working. I no longer need to be in replace mode or the debugging mode of glow. I'm sure it has other use cases, but it's cool. So we can either go to soft light and you're not going to see that much of a difference, or you can go to screen mode and you see the play button just lighted a bit. Let me go to soft light and focus on this white part of the play button. Look what's going to happen. Did you see? It became a bit dimmer. So screen is the mode that most of you guys may want to use, and addictive is like the brightest mode. If you put here, you see the button became brighter. Screen is like the mid level, the balanced, and soft light is like the weaker level. So I recommend you to just set up a limit. It shouldn't be far from 1, should be like around 0.8 to 0.90 something. It shouldn't be too far from 1. And then if you want to adjust the levels, the brightness, the intensity, you shouldn't just adjust the threshold level like this. No, you should play with the other parameters like levels, intensity, strength, and others. And I'm going to explain why in a moment. I believe the intensity is going to be 4 for me. That's cool. That's cool, my friends. Let's go. So scale maybe a bit. Okay, scale increases when you decrease the value. So the default value is 2, maybe a 1.5. A 1.8 for me. Okay, it's good. It's good for me. So the glow is set up, guys, at least for me, and you can play with it a bit more. So what should we do next? We should test the code, test the changes, run your project. Okay, it's glowing. It's glowing. It's okay now. Okay, it's working. So when you start the project, everything glows. So what should we do? We want that effect that when we start, the middle button, the play button, should be the only button that's glowing. And if we go to the right, to the Misk or Friends button, that the middle button should stop glowing and the right button should start glowing. And if from the middle button we go to the settings button, we want the middle button to stop glowing and the setting buttons to glow, and so on and so forth. So how do we achieve that? So to do that, we need to set up a few things. Do you remember that the threshold, I said it worked with, and I'm sorry for my dog. Okay, so the threshold worked with this modulate and self-modulate properties. So look what's going to happen if we the misc is brighter. So look what's going to happen if we just put the modulate and self-modulate, and I'm going to explain why you need to apply this to both properties. Maybe in the newer versions of Godot you just need to apply to one of them, but the dumb me found it useful to just apply to both. But the limit I set up on the threshold, HDR threshold, was 0.94. So look what happened when I put this into 0.93, and you need to set this up for everything. 0.93, let's erase this, 0.93. Did you see what happened? Now I'm going to reset all these values, and you just need to focus on this, on the button. Look what's going to happen to the misc button, the friends button, if I put everything into one. Do you see what happened? Let me put 0.93. You see? The color or the button became dimmer. So that's because we put the values, the RGB values, below the threshold, the HDR threshold, below the limit for it to glow. If we wanted the button to glow, we need to put the values above the threshold, so 0.95, 0.1, and so on and so forth. But I said that if you are going to set up the HDR threshold, you shouldn't put it too low. So that's why I selected 0.94 to be the threshold this time. So why is that? So look at this. If I had, for example, set up the value to be 0.5 for the HDR threshold, that means I would put the value for this button to 0.49, for example, for it to stop glowing. But look what's going to happen if I put into 0.49. Did you see what happened there? The button just changed colors. So did you see? Okay, I'm going to do this with the last color, channel. Okay, do you see? So if we put the threshold of the HDR too low, and if we come here to modulate or self-modulate and try to go below that value so that the node or the button dims, that button is going to change colors, because we are essentially changing the color of the button. We are doing that. So if we go a bit beyond what we really need to, we are going to change the color of the button, and it's going to be bad for your UI. That's why I said, if you want to increase the brightness or something like that, don't just put the HDR threshold like near zero. No, although it's near zero, don't put like at 0.12345, because if you're going to, eventually you're going to come here to make it dim, and if you put 0.1 here, is going to affect the color of the button. So just put somewhere between 0.8 to 0.90 something, or just play with it. I found out this because I played with the values, so I encourage you to not listen to me and play with it. It's the old saying, you're going to know that fire burns you if you just put your finger near it. So just play with it. So I'm going to put the value of these raw values to 0.94, and the middle button is going to be the only button that's not going to be not going to have changed value. So it's dim now. 94. We need to put 93, not 94. It's greater or equal 93. It's going to glow, but below 93 the glow should disappear, and you're going to just have like an assurance that it's going to disappear. So that's it. We save. Let's run the code, and yeah, it seems dimmer to me. It seems dimmer, and we're going to notice the difference when we adjust the levels. Or you can just go in here and change the mode, the blend mode, from screen to replace, and you're going to see that that button doesn't glow anymore. So yes, that's it. So let's go back screen, let's go to settings, and settings wasn't like glowing that much, and we're going to address that. It's not a problem, but let's just put this. Let's put this 093, 09. I'm going to fast forward this. Okay. That didn't take that much time. Okay, I don't know why I fast forward this, but it's okay. Every second counts. So now we have this situation. Oh my god, my dogs are crazy. Okay, we have this situation where both of these buttons, the settings button, the friends or misc button, are not glowing, but the play button is glowing. So first part done. Now what we want to do is whenever we like press the right arrow and go to the misc button should glow and the play button should become dim. So how would we do that? So that's where we code. So save if you haven't saved your project, and here into code we need to do the following. We're going to have a function called, let's make a function called let's say what's a good name for a function to, okay, let's call it release glow. It's going to be a function that's going to make the nodes or the buttons to dim, and let's write another function called apply glow, and it's going to, oh, my computer is a bit slow. Okay, it's cool. Let's just do this. Okay, release glow is going to make the button or the node dimmer or dim, and apply glow is going to glow the button. So now what should we do next? We can work on this. Now that I think about it, we can work on this on these function first. However, I really think that we should work on the functions that are going to switch the focus behavior, because if we work on those functions first, it's going to be easier just to make the glow functions to work, and everything's going to be easier. Okay, let's see. Now, how are we going to make the focus behavior to change? Now, we can do this in a couple of different ways. Let me just think a bit. Okay, let me see. Okay, first let's make a dictionary. Okay, let's start with this. Let's make a dictionary, and it should be, the dictionary should like start when the ready function starts or is finished, and let's name this focus button dict. Again, I'm not good with names, and so okay, let me make this dictionary, and this dictionary is going to have we are going to get the name of these buttons, and we're going to pair them with their node objects. So let's do something else here aside from the dictionary. Let's do, man, live coding is something. Come on. Okay, I believe we might not need a function to just function precisely for glow, for focus behavior. We can just make a function called input to get the, since we are going to switch the buttons using the keyboard, the arrows, we should get these arrows. So let's get the arrows by going to if, writing if event dot is action pressed. Let's call it UI. Let's see. By this code here on the ready function, the first button that is going to get the focus is the center one. So if we press the UI right, we should switch or apply glow to that button. So let's work this thing up. Let me explain what I'm thinking right now. So when the game starts, let's save this. When the game starts, this function input, it's going to listen to events, the mouse, the keyboard's events. So if you press the left keyboard, it's going to go to the left button, the settings button. But if you press the right keyboard, it's going to go to the right button, the misc or friends button. So I'm going to just test with the right keyboard, and if you press the right keyboard, let's print something like right keyboard press butchers. Okay, let's save this, let's run. Oh shit, no. Okay, save. Okay, run. If I press the right button, nothing happened. Okay, I'm pressing, why? Oh shit, I I wrote it into the release, not apply glow, and I'm calling the apply glow. So pass here and get to release there. Okay, now it should work. Right, yeah, there is the output, right keyboard pressed. Nice, it's working. So what we want it to happen in the apply glow function, we want the misc button or the right button to glow. For instance, we can just write misc, yes, dot modulate equals to color, and we can just put 111 RGBA, and we can write again misc. Now this time we are going to write self-modulate, let's go self-modulate, and let's test this out. Okay, so if we go there, you see the button just glow, Is the path of glow glue? No. Oh shit, glue. Okay. Okay. I'm dumb. Okay, we now know that this works. The button is not glowing, but then if we press right, this is going to glow. However, the middle button, the play button, is still glowing. This middle button should dim. So we can write this here, something like, okay, play dot modulate equals color, not cooler, color, and we can just put 0.93, 0.93, 0.93, and for the A value you can leave it at 1 or can put 0.93. It's up to you. It's going to work anyways. So let's put this here and just a space, and put self-modulate, and let's see if it's going to work. So glowing, let's go to the right, and hopefully the middle button is going to stop glowing. Boom. See? We got it. Live coding is not that hard as it seems, huh? Let's go. So, oh my god, I'm jinxing myself. Okay, we are doing this manually. We want to do this like automatically, like without doing this. I mean, if we had like 10 buttons, how it would be a huge code. We don't want that. So let's just automate this process by doing the following. So how can we automate this process? Let me think for a bit. We can remember when I said let's write a dictionary for the focus button. So that's where this is going to be handy. So in the apply glow, we can get the button that has the focus right now, the current button that has the focus right now, which, for example, when the engine starts, this game starts, the button that's going to have the focus is the play button, because it's grabbing the focus on the ready function. So we can, when applying glow, we can just do something like this. Let's see. First, we need to print. Let's just let's comment these. We might want to print what's the button that has the glow right now. So we need to write get viewport dot, you just write focus, and okay, that the second option, GUI get focus owner, that's the option we need, I believe. So this option is going to print the name of the button that has the glow effect or the focus right now. Let's try this. If we press right, it printed play button and this button identifier. So that's what I wanted, and that's the first step for us to make this automation process. So what can we do is, we got the name of the button, play button, which represents this button which has the focus behavior. We can now populate this dictionary with these names. Play button has keys, and we can have for the values we should have the buttons node or the okay, I believe we can make a list of both the node 2D and the button node. So we're going to do this for all of our buttons and nodes. So we're going to have here misc button, and we're going to have a list called misc first, and the order of having first the node, the sprite 2D, and then having the button, it's going to make things easier when accessing this list from this dictionary. So don't just you organize everything. First should be the sprite 2D and then the button, or first the button and then the sprite 2D. You should follow one order for it to just to make everything simpler. So misc button, let's go misc button settings and settings button, the name of the button, and we put here settings, oh shit, not a string, oh again, okay, not a string, okay, settings, and then settings button. I believe we're done here. So now what can we do is this. Let's see, in the apply the applied glow function, we can just automate this process as follows. Instead of we putting this manually, we can just say this. We are getting from this print the name, the play button, the name of the button that has the focus right now. However, we just want the name of the button, so we can make a variable called I don't know, I said that I'm terrible at okay, focus button, and should be a string. And okay, let's go string equals, and we're going to get viewport dot GUI get focus owner, and we want just the button name, so you can just write string dot split from this colon, because we have a colon separating this address or this reference from the button name. So we're going to separate these by the colon, and this play button here is going to be the first item in the list that the split is going to make. Since it's going to be the first item in the list, we can just access it by this index 0. So if this is working well, we should have, let's try to print focus button. Okay, I hope it works. Print, let's go. Right, okay, we got the play button. So right now, instead of just calling misc modulate manually, we can just do this. We can access the dictionary, which is focus something, focus button dict. Man, this autocomplete from Godot is a godsend, I'm telling you. Then we're going to pass in focus button, which is the name of the button that has the focus right now. So for now, it's, for example, play button, so it's going to access the values that play button have. It's going to return a list, this list of these two elements, and from this list we just want the first element, that's the sprite, because we want to glow the sprite. So we want the first element and modulate this object or this node. Okay, so we're going to do the same for the self modulate. So focus button dict, focus button 0, self modulate. Okay, this should work. Let's see. Boom. Okay, it did not work because when I clicked right, it should, what should have happened is this button here should glow. However, when I clicked right, this button still held the focus. That's why it's showing its name. So right now the focus is here. So I believe if we press again, now that this button has the focus, and then I believe something's going to happen. I hope. Let's see. Oh, that's right, it's focus, it's glowing, and the name change here. We just needed to click 2 times. Oh, and for now it's working. it's we have to click 2 times, but it's working. So let's what, man, I really want to go to my original. I've faced these problems before when I was implementing this. However, I forgot all the steps I took to solve these problems, and I wish right now I could just open a new instance of Godot, or just go into the code with some editor and just see the code and just write for you guys. But it's an adventure, guys. Let's just face this together. Although I'm okay, let's see. Now it's working. So we can do the same for, let's see, we can do the same for the left arrow. So in here, in the input event, let's add or event dot is action pressed UI left. Okay, so by adding this, we should be able to see it glow that other button, and we're glowing this other button. So every button is now glowing. Now we need to release the glow from one button to now glow the other button. So let's see this. How we're going to do to release the glow, we want to get, so to release the glow, we want to get the button that currently has the focus and dim that button. So the process is going to be almost the same, I believe. So let's copy this code right here to get the button that has the focus. So what we're going to do here is copy these two. However, now in the self modulate and modulate, instead of 1, we're going to put 0.93 0.93, and 0.93. Let's go. 0.93, 0.93. Suck my dick. Okay, 0.93. Okay, let's see. So what we could do is, what I really could have done is just go to my old code and just see what I did the first time. However, let's just give you the live coding experience. I don't know why. So maybe we could call the release glow first, and then we could call the apply glow. So let's test this out. So we'll go to the right. No, it's no, nothing. Damn. Okay. Okay, what's going on, mates? What's going on? Okay, let me just. Okay, now I remember a bit what I did. I remember. So, in order for this to work, instead of action pressed, we need to put action released. Yes, that's it. We need to put action released instead of action pressed, because when you use action pressed, when you go from, let me explain to you. When we use action pressed, if I press the right arrow and go to this button, the focus behavior is going to still be with this button. However, if I use action released, now if I press the right arrow to go here, the focus is going to shift into this button. So I don't know why it works as it works, but it works. Let's test it. If I pressed right, you see it glow. This button glue right when I pressed right. And if we print the current owner, print, instead of this, let's just print. Okay, my computer is too slow right now, so bear with me, mates. So if we print focus button, and if I press right now, it shouldn't print the play button, but it should print the misc button. So you see, misc button. We just needed to add is action release instead of pressed. If you find out why this happened, you could leave just a comment in the comment section. I really want to know why, because one of the things as a programmer you really don't want to stumble upon is having a code that works and you don't know why it works, or having a code that it's better to have a code that doesn't work and you know why, than having a code that works and you don't know why. So comment if you know. So this release. Oh, okay. So I guess I know what to do now. So with the release, we should not put right here, because as soon as we're pressing the release keys, as soon as we're pressing one of these arrow keys, then the focus is already shifted from play button to some other button. So release glow is called on that other button. Let me explain by running the code. If I press right and go here, then the release is being called on this button, and then the apply glow is called on this button at the same next is called on this button next. So what we want to do is when we press the right arrow, the release is going to be called on this play button, but the apply is going to be called on this button. So in order for us to achieve this, we need to put the release, we need to call the release function before anything. So right here on top, because at this point here, the button that still has the focus is the play button, or the button that we want to dim. So this is going to work. So for instance, right now the button that has the focus is the play button right now. So if we, wow, my dogs again. Okay, so if we press the right arrow, then the input button, the input function is going to be called, and the release function is going to be called, and the release function is going to release the focus from, it's going to modulate and make the current button that has the focus to dim. In this case is still the play button. And then when the action happens, left arrow or right arrow, at this point the button that has the glow is the next button, in this case mask or setting, and that's the button that's going to be applied the glow. So see, it dimmed because we did something, the mouse movement, it's an input. So if we press right, see this button, so we press the mouse input is, and it triggers the release glow. So we might need to put an if statement to block the mouse input, or you can just block the mouse action in the project settings, or you can just block it here. If your game need the mouse to work, you can just put an if statement blocking the mouse movement as inputs. However, if your game doesn't need the mouse movements, if your game is meant to just be navigated or played with just the keyboard, you can just disable the mouse on the project settings, I believe. So for now, let me run it again. I'm not going to move the mouse, I'm just going to press the right arrow, boom, you see. And if I press the left arrow to go back into the play button, boom, left arrow, boom, right arrow, boom, left, right, left. See, it's working. And if now that we're on the edge, if we press the right arrow again, it's just going to go to itself, because when we were setting up the focus behavior on part 1 of the video, if you haven't watched, go watch it, we set it to, if we are on the right edge of the, if we're on this button at the right edge, if we press the right button, it's going to focus itself. And if we are on the left edge and we press the left arrow, it's going to go to itself too. So yes, that's it. We should, okay, what's happening here is if we press up or down, it's disabling the glow. You can easily solve this by going to the focus behavior and put the up and bottom behavior to go to itself, like the left or right behavior, and this should solve the problem. So let's see what we should do next. Next, I'm going to show you how we could apply tweens to make that button growing effect. If you watch the first video, I showed you like what we are trying to do, the menu effect, the UI effect that we're trying to do, and now all that it's left is the tween effect to make the buttons grow when you're on a certain button, when the focus is on a certain button. We don't just want to have the glow effect. But let me see the time. Last time I got carried away and didn't look at the time. Bro, 1 hour. What the fuck? Mate, I'm going to stop here. Maybe I'm going to trim down this video. Yeah, but I'm going to launch up part 3 ending this whole thing. So yeah,